John, so of course, I have to start by saying a huge congratulations to you on your recent Emmy Award nomination. And not only is this yet another Emmy Awards nomination, but this is your second nomination for Bridgerton in the
Correct.
same category. Like, how
Correct.
does it feel?
It feels we're honored. It feels good that
It's 5 o'clock.
the first time it was a brand new show, and now this is its third season, and it's nice to still to be recognized that people haven't lost interest. And I hope this time we win. That's terrible, but three could be the lucky charm.
I know, right? There's a lucky charm. But let me ask you personally, like how important is this level and this type of recognition and these type of accolades to you personally?
Um, that's always a tricky question because you don't want to work for an award, but it's something that makes you understand that you've been accepted and noticed, and people appreciate what you've done. Because you have to remember that it's for period costumes, and we blend period and modern fashion look. So it's nice that we were able to uh have enough period influence that it still looks like a period show. We haven't gone too far off the rails yet.
Yeah.
I say yet because we could possibly do that next season. Yeah, but no.
Oh, are you giving me a little teaser there
No,
for
no,
season
no,
four?
no. We don't know anything about next season. I do. You don't. Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. What I find interesting is that obviously this is a period type project, and it has been for the first three seasons. But John, listen, I love fashion, and I feel like some of these looks and some of these styles, like I'm not surprised to see some of them like reinventing themselves nowadays in 2025. Like, how do you feel about the overall evolution of fashion and how like history is just continuously repeating itself?
You've kind of said it there. When we do our research for the show, in the beginning, we started off looking at the actual research from the period. But I always say we looked at what influenced the Regency period, where they got their influences from, and what the Regency period has influenced in the future. So we look at anything from Roman and Greek, which is where it started, up until today. And if you look at fashion pictures, movies, photographs, paintings, you can always pick out a little piece of Regency. Not in every picture, but you can always. That's what we do. We like search and hunt for like Regency influences, and then mix them together with the real research and current research. So what you say is true. Is like history and fashion just keeps reinventing itself, redoing itself, and it's just what you extract from it that you want to use, and you hopefully in a different way. But it's hard because it's you know there's only so many sleeves and so many dresses and so many, it's like you can't reinvent everything. But I think we've given the Regency period a fresh look. It's not and it still looks like Regency, but we know it's got a current eye to it. Does that make sense?
It makes a
When
lot
you look at when you look at a movie from the 1930s and it's a period movie, you can tell it's from the 1930s because of the hairstyle, the influences of the clothes. You can always figure out where that movie, what time it was actually made, because all the influences around you are going to end up in your work. I think it'd be very difficult for anyone to do a true Regency period look because first of all, no one was there. There's no pictures. There's only paintings, so it's all an interpretation. This is our interpretation of the Regency period, and it's also our interpretation. It only works because of what the written word is. if it was a different script, this look may not work for it. Yeah.
What I find so interesting from that response is, it's historic.
Yep.
I feel like, and without me being obviously a costume designer, but listen, fashion is history, right? And some may say, most may say that fashion is art. What's your professional stance on that? Would you sum fashion and costume and styling up into like art? Like if there was just like one broad word that you can use?
That's a mean question. Art. Art. I've always been, there's always been costume design, which has always been kept in a different category than costume design, which is styling, because styling pulls from current looks. Costume design pulls from current looks and from period.
Yeah.
But we're blending the two together. I guess you would have to say it's an art form. And I always say, this is not a history lesson. We are just giving you a visual. So I guess it would be, yeah. Also, our men's clothing has a little more historical accuracy to it, a little bit. And that helps balance out the women's fashion look. So it's a balancing act of history and fashion, current looks, art, history. Yeah, it's just a combination of everything.
I
Yeah,
love that. I
it's
love
a
that.
mess. Yeah.
I know, I love that answer, John. I want to like just kind of give you a tidbit of something that I personally experienced like almost 2 months ago. I, noticed this guy walking up the street and he had a rack full of beautiful clothes. He was leaving out of the Beverly Hills Hotel. So I'm like, oh, are you a stylist? Are you a fashion designer? John, he literally looked at me like I committed a crime, right? So stay with me for a second. He's like, no, I am a costume designer. So I'll tell you about that experience really quick because it segues into another question that I have for you. Is there a difference in your world between someone referencing or referring to you as a costume designer or a stylist? Is
I'm a
there a
costume.
difference?
Oh, there's a huge difference. That's what I was trying to say. I'm a costume designer because you've trained, went to college, have a master's degree, and because you study history, character development, uh, clothing, textiles, all of that, the entire package. Styling is a little more, it's a different world. It's
Okay.
what a stylist does is different than what a costume designer does. A costume designer has to help tell the written story and give the visual look for the show. A stylist has to tell a different story. He's telling a story about that person, and it's different than telling a story about an entire show. They're focused on one person, which is very hard. But ours is different because we're focused on an entire show, an entire look.
Thank you for clearing that up because I did apologize to him. I
Yeah.
say, I truly apologize if I offended you in any way,
But now if people say styling, but
yeah.
it is different than costume design. But on our show, we do blend the two together.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think speaking of the show and speaking of blending the two together, like what approach did you take as a costume designer on Bridgerton, like with each individual character? Like, do you take into account, their personal hair color, their body shape, their height, their weight, or is it just like, listen, this is the script, this is the character, and you're wearing this regardless of whether or not
Oh,
it.
absolutely not. We look at again what's written. We look at we see the actress or the actor. We look at their body type. You think about the 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 character. Now the silhouette for Regency is pretty basic. It doesn't expand too much, but we found ways up. We try to be creative with it, but no, when an actor comes into the room, we have ideas, we have mood boards, we have looks, we have color palettes. And if they're not really quite on board, if they can explain to us why, then we'll veer off to the left, we'll veer off to the right, uh, we'll make changes because they also know their character development, and they know where their arc is going. We may not know that. They've got ideas and we have ideas, and we definitely blend it together. We are not what do you call it? It's not a one-man show. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It's not democratic, but there's room for people to have their opinion and to have some interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's important to ask questions like that, especially like with us. Listen, we're just watching the show on screen. You have no idea what's going on set and behind the scenes. So I think of like speaking about being on set. Obviously, we know cinematographers, producers, directors, writers, hair and makeup experts are on the scene. Is there any specific department or team that costume designers align with and work with most? Like, would that be the hair and makeup team?
We work with, well, we actually start with the production design because we need to know what color the walls are. We need to know whether they're inside or outside, what the season is. All those things help determine what the clothing will be. And definitely we work in parallel with the hair and makeup department. They know what colors we're using. They know what a style something may be, and they'll vary their wig or their color. We are very involved together, and that's why when you talk about styling and costume design, again, costume design, hair and makeup design for the whole show is one thing, but we actually do style the character individually, just like a stylist would do. We have to take that individual out of the big group and focus, to funnel everything into them. So it's like we do styling on individual characters, but they have to work in the rest of the world. So it's just a balance of things back and forth. And it sounds more complicated than it is. It's just kind of it just happens naturally, just like if you're baking a cake or something, you know the ingredients and you know how to mix them together and you know what's going to happen. Not always, but
In most cases. I want to
okay.
piggyback off you making mention of styling individual characters. On this project, did you have a specific character that you enjoyed the absolute most, like working with, or their particular look?
We always say that the one that we're enjoying the most is the one that we're working on at the moment. But we
Okay.
have to be honest and say that Cressida, because the most, she was the one character that could go into current fashion more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because the Bridgerton family, that's what the story's about, and that they actually hold the look of the show, that they're like as true Regency as we go. But Cressida is one of the characters that can go outside of that world. And so we took her as far as we possibly could into styling.
And speaking of taking someone as far as they can, take me back, John. I want to go back to your days working with Harry Potter, the project, and Gotham. In what ways would you say, Bridgerton, this series, this project has measured up to others in your past, especially Gotham and Harry Potter?
Well, uh, Gotham was a 5-year project, and that was something that the producer, Danny Cannon, we were under guidelines as to what the legacy character was. You know, like if it was a penguin, we could never actually do penguin, but we all are always doing pre a penguin. And Danny Cannon always said to me, do whatever you want, but when you're done, take one thing away. And the opposite with Bridgerton is that when we're done, then we add something. So it's like restraint and non-restraint. And the problem with Harry Potter is that I didn't do anything. All I did was a 25th anniversary, and I did the dancers. I've never worked on Harry Potter. And to be truthful, I've never seen a Harry Potter movie or read a Harry Potter book, so I can't. That's an interesting question because Gotham had restrictions in the storyline that we were doing pre-legacy characters. So we could never go full out Penguin or full out a Joker. We always had to be just before they became that person. And in Bridgerton, it's kind of the opposite. We can go all the way, you know.
How much fun are you having with this project?
This project is it's a great project. I say it's a once in a lifetime project because we have great producers, we have a great staff of workrooms, and we have a great working relationship with everyone. There's enough money, there's enough time, there's enough resources. All that makes it an enjoyable production to do. I mean, it's not easy. It's hard, but it's not an effort to go to work. It's a that sounds like I'm a Pollyanna, but no one likes to get up in the morning. But when you go to work, you know it's going to be an okay day. Nothing's really going to go bad. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. Of course, I cannot bring this interview or this conversation with you to a close without asking you about brands and certain companies. Like, do you like privy or take a greater liking to certain brands? Like when you're working on projects and personally, like what are some of your favorite fashion brands and companies as a costume designer?
Well, I'm pretty basic. I like Gucci. I like Lanvin, and we use a lot of Dior references. And for women's shoes, it's Manolo Blahnik,
Classic.
Dior. The men, we like the idea of the Henry Bendel shoe. Um, uh, Jewelry, we just paired with Pandora, so that will be coming out.
Wow.
But and if you look at the new line of men's Dior, they actually say that they got their inspiration from Bridgerton. I think it's a spring line.
Really?
But yeah, but that's something that I, as a person, try not to fall into looking at all that because then that you don't want to you don't want to feel like you're following their trends. We want to keep doing, we've got a job to do, and that's to help tell the story that is written. And if by chance something comes out of it that's fashion related, great. But if not, that's not what our job is. Our job is to help tell the story and make the show look beautiful. And if people like it in the fashion industry, great. But
How do you feel about thrifting and vintage wear, vintage fashion in thrift shops?
I never liked thrift shops. I never liked thrifting. Uh, I prefer, even like on Gotham, everything was made and then it was aged. Don't, I don't get it. I'm sorry. I know
It's not your speed.
people love going to thrift shops. George, who's the woman's assistant, loves go thrift shops and finding a pair of old Dior shoes. And I'm like, I don't really care. It's just that's great, but it just doesn't interest me. Oh,
Do you like, is it like a more of a mental thing for you? Like you feel like if it's something that has been worn or, owned by someone else, like does that mess up like your mind frame, or is it
a
just
little bit
your
because it's not mine. And I didn't, it's somebody else has worn it, somebody else has broken it in. It's
yeah,
already traveled, it's already has its own history. I don't want to help that history move along on the show. It should be fresh and new.
yeah,
Terrible. I never liked vintage. I just never got it.
I love it.
And you're probably wearing a beautiful vintage dress, right? No.
Well, denim skirt. John, I'm gonna let you go after this last question, although I feel like I can chat with you all day long. You make me feel like it's a Friday and we should just be
It
having a
feels like Friday, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It does. What is, if you can share any secrets, for those individuals out there who desire and who are also working towards blazing some of the same trails that you have in this industry as a costume designer in TV, film, entertainment? Is there a blueprint? Like, what does the career path typically look like for someone starting off in this phase?
Well, since my time, that's changed. I went to college, I went to graduate school, I moved to New York, worked at a costume house, which was, I always call it a clearinghouse. It's where there were lots of costume designers, lots of shows. You met a lot of people and you were networking there and you kind of went off to become an assistant and move your way up. The world's changed and it's now a little different. And not anybody, but if you want to be a costume designer, you can be, but it's a costume designer, like I was saying before, encompasses a lot of things, and you have to have knowledge from art, uh, fabric industry, all hair and makeup. You have to have all those. You have to have some knowledge of all of that. You have to have some pedicure to be able to su sustain that. Um, So there is no blueprint. I always say just make sure that if you really want to be a costume designer, whether you're doing a show that's off Broadway for $10 or a multi-million-dollar movie, if you go to work and you enjoy it and it's not an effort, then keep on going because it doesn't matter how much money you make if you're not happy doing what you do. It's not gonna, it's just not gonna be good. Yeah.
And only a fool would ask you another question after an answer like that. So, with that being said, John, thank you so much for your time today.
I'm going to dinner now.
Oh, I'm jealous. Are you in New York right now?
I am out in the Hamptons at my friend's house, Rosie, and oh, I see the brick back there. Yeah, and we spent the day in the pool.
Oh, you lucky one, you
Yeah,
lucky one, you lucky one.
yeah,
Thank you so much for your time. Tell Rosie I said hello.
absolutely. She's right over there. All right, good.
Hi, Rosie, and congratulations again on your Emmy nomination. I'm sure I will see you on the red
I
carpet.
hope so. Yeah, vote for us. Oh, you can't. But anyway.
Oh, of course I will. I'll talk to you soon, John.